You understand me? Like I bring my own
Yeah.
atmosphere.
Yeah, I know exactly what it means.
Yeah,
Yeah, I walk into a place and I put a bubble around myself.
yeah.
I just literally put an energy bubble. I just see it coming out of my head and wrapping myself. And I walk through, I got my energy bubble.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's super key.
Yeah.
I mean, so when we go to water, right? We 70 to 90% water. Some people say I'm basically almost 100% because even those things can be made up of water.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about water and the effect that light has on water, right? Because, you know, water is charged by light,
Yeah.
and water has memory in it.
That's
You
right.
understand me? I think it was Dr. John Pollock that was giving a breakdown on the 4 phases of water. And it was one of the same doctors who discovered, I believe, HIV back in the day, who was trying to figure out ways to utilize sound waves to create medicine.
Yeah.
You understand
Yeah.
me? And basically that every disease has a frequency, and
Yeah.
if he can counteract that disease with a dominant frequency of the cure, then he can cure that person.
Right.
Because water traps frequency in its protons.
Yeah.
You understand me? So that if our environment is a certain vibration, then we take on that vibration of that environment.
Yep, absolutely.
It's the same study about rice and water. When you speak
Yeah.
over certain things, you're trapping that, right? So
Yeah.
that's why nobody who's angry should ever serve you food.
Exactly.
Or they dislike. If you make a waiter mad, don't
Yeah.
eat the food from there anymore.
No.
Got to keep them happy and pleasant. Otherwise, they can give you food poisoning just based on their negative energy.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
But I bring that up to bring this. You know, as human beings, the things that we should know the most about, we know the least about.
Yeah.
And that's being a human being.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, water and light, right? We are light beings and we are water beings.
Yeah.
You understand me? Wholly. So I studied that to understand the effects that the environment has on myself.
Yeah.
That's knowledge of self, to the knowledge of cells.
You got to do that.
So, you know, what is it about light itself as a messenger of information that is important that we observe from the things that we eat, besides the breakdown is gay,
Yeah.
right? Where we go to, but at the same time being a way for our brains to be able to travel,
Yeah.
right? Like, and then can you correlate it into biophotons?
Yeah.
You understand me?
Right.
You know, when I be thinking, I just be having thoughts, so they jump over. That's why I had to call this show a conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
So as light beings, what does that mean?
Well, one thing people don't understand is that we are all made of actual light. Well, everything in the third dimension is made of light.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are light and light is us.
Mm-hmm.
We know that the illusion of this avatar body and this chair I'm sitting on and the table that you're sitting at, the illusion of it's there, but what is this? This is slowed down light waves.
Mm-hmm.
When you slow light down and the consciousness interacts with it, it collapses it into what we call solid matter.
Mm.
So solid matter is actually an illusion.
Right.
For example, the only thing stopping my hand from going through this chair is the repulsion of the electromagnetic frequencies. I don't actually touch the chair. You don't touch anything.
Yeah.
And so if I can phase shift the atomic frequency of my hand to match the same frequency of the atoms in this chair, I pass my hand right through it because atoms are 99.999% empty space.
Right, like pouring liquid into liquid.
Exactly, you know. That's why when galaxies merge together, like we're merging with a galaxy right now called Sagittarius, you don't see any real collisions happening or anything around us.
Shout out to my Sagittarius out there.
Yeah, because, you know, galaxies are mostly empty space, just like atoms. Everything's a fractal. So we are light beings, and also because of that, we're a fractal. We have consciousness, which is also light. And
what is a fractal?
A fractal is when you take, for example, if you look at a hologram, and you go to one part of the hologram, one tiny piece, and look at it, you'll see the entire image in that smallest piece.
Okay,
the only thing you lose is a little bit of resolution, okay? And so it's important for people to understand that this entire realm is a fractal of a whole. In other words, as above, so below.
So if you look at an atom, it gives you the whole thing.
It gives you the whole thing, absolutely.
So human beings, would you consider a fractal of the universe?
We're a fractal of the universe, and our consciousness, even though it's one consciousness, it's also a fractal of the main master consciousness. And it's really incredible that every thought that you think in your skull, it leaves your skull as a form of a light wave. Every time you think. Yeah, man. Every light wave, every time you think. And we know this because we could put a cap on your head in a laboratory, put a little electrodes on it, sensors, and tell you to think about something, and it's going to show up on the computer screen because the computer's reading the light waves coming out of your skull. We can't see those waves because we can only see 1% of the light spectrum as human beings.
Right.
we're limited. We don't see gamma rays. We don't see
Right.
ultraviolet.
What affects us the most?
Yeah, exactly. Those
Yeah.
are the things that are all around us that are really interacting with us all the time in our brains too.
Right. And that's what I was getting to with the water, because the ultraviolet radiation is what causes that fourth phase to flow, like blood flow within our bodies and things of that nature, by creating a separation between positive and negative charge. And in between that small space right there is where it creates that charge and flow. And they was doing a study where they tried to take two prods, put one on the other end to create energy.
Yeah.
Right? But go ahead.
Yeah, so that's what it is. So, we have this power of thought, which you were talking about, having the ability to even travel through light, leaving your mind and traveling light. You can actually connect to other realms, other dimensions through conscious thought. Quantum entangling your light waves with other light waves that exist in the universe, not only in the third dimension, but even multiple dimensions.
Right. So like quantum entanglement, for those who don't understand, are two basically atoms that are entangled with one another, even if they are at vast distances.
Right.
Right. And Einstein called it, spooky, right? Because he didn't understand what was going on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But we understand. It ain't spooky. It ain't spooky.
He said a spooky action at a distance.
Yeah.
And you can entangle atoms, you can entangle photons, which are lights. Right. So
do you think that's what happened when people fall in love? They consider to be soulmates?
I think it happens. Well, your mind can entangle with somebody on the other side of the universe. A lot of the times, you can say, oh, I came up with this great idea.
Right.
But you really didn't. You just downloaded that idea because you entangled with the information.
Entangled.
That's all it is. All information actually exists. And now, like big time mainstream quantum physicists and theoretical physicists are admitting that this is true now.
Yeah.
Like it's not woo-woo science no more. This is like what you're getting taught in university. When I was at M.I.T. studying applied neuroscience, one of the things we learned about was this exact thing. The fact that not only can you walk in a room like you were saying earlier and you can sense the vibe and you can actually transmit negative or positive energy to somebody. Somebody's at a low frequency and you walk in positive and high frequency enough, your light being can actually raise their energy level.
Right.
And if you're not high enough and they're low, they can actually drop your energy level.
Right.
Depends on how strong you are consciously. And then also we talked about the fact that we can entangle with information throughout the entire multiverse. So information can even come from other universes in your own mind. And if you're able to discern that information, you can actually then, if you can put the action behind it, it could be one of the greatest inventions. It could be Web3, it could be, whatever we got going on now. NFTs or whatever, all this stuff comes from other places.
So biophotons is what I wanted to get to. Because biophotons to me is very interesting, because I think it's like taking the concept of science and physics and being able to apply it, you understand me, in a real world sense, and connect, yourself and your willpower, right? It was Dr. Wesley. He has the Book of God, and he has a very, very dope book, very amazing book. Everybody should study it. But he gives a breakdown of biophotons, and this is one of my first introductions to it, when he was talking about a study that was done at this university, to study biophoton levels, which is basically, for those who don't know, is light within the human body.
Right.
And so one of the things that they studied was the fact that during a time that a patient was sick, you understand me, the light that they emitted glowed brighter, right? And of course that was because the body was working to heal itself.
Yep.
And the thought process was that if you go back to ancient human being origins, that those human beings were just light beings, complete light beings. And as I'm positing this thought right now, as melanin, you understand me, overtook those bodies, and you're talking about, that very dark melanin, and then you have light, piercing out of that, which used to be where hair follicles are, you understand me? Then you're talking about a blue aura, or a blue hue, right? And so in ancient texts where you see a lot of the blue representation of gods or beings, there were the representation of the original man and woman as light beings.
Yeah.
Now, the way that I connected to science more so is the idea that, our mind has light within it, right? And it communicates directly with the light outside us, and that this is scientifically proven that we can think things and bend the wheel of reality around us. Like the Matrix played with the concepts and ideas. The spoon doesn't exist idea. But more so is, you know, each one of us have different levels of consciousness and conscious power. And the ability to bend and change reality around us, which is also a very masculine trait because testosterone increases that biophotonic energy. You understand me? Within the body. So depleted testosterone depletes willpower as well. So it's saying that, for me, I always say that one act of masculinity is willpower, the ability to take thoughts outside your mind and produce them into reality. So if you have a people who are not able to produce their thoughts, then those people are lost without that will, right? Without that power, without that godliness. And so that's something that I think about often as I see our brothers and sisters hoping and wishing and trying to bring things forth, but they just can't because that light inside them is dead.
Plus, a lot of the male in this society right now, they're being emasculated.
Oh yeah, sterilized.
And so, you know, and a lot of it's chemical based.
Yes.
It's the food.
Chemical castration.
Chemical castration, man. It's all these microplastics that are, you know, we're inhaling them, we're eating them. It's in the food, it's in everything. They did a test on those microplastics. They were converting male frogs into women.
Right.
You know, this is just crazy stuff. So
that's a hell of a leap.
It's a big leap. That's a big leap.
Let me just myself, y'all.
Oh man, but it's so true, you know. And so it's taking away the testosterone levels in men are the lowest it's been since they've been recording.
Right.
And so to that effect, what you're saying is, you know, the levels are dropping, and the ability for men to make a lot of logical decisions is also dropping.
Right.
You see men now operating more off of emotion versus logic.
Right.
That balance of logic versus emotion isn't there anymore.
Right.
Sometimes there's a lot more men that are more emotional than women.
Yes.
So their plan is working out, you know, and the plan for them really is to not let us discover our light body, not let us discover our light consciousness and the power that we really truly have inside of us to change and bend and mold this matrix to our will and overcome and supersede where they are.
Right.
What they want us to do is just continue to stay in these small little pockets, fighting each other over scraps, and not really ever getting to the higher levels and realizing that we're supposed to be able to bring our heaven right here to this earth right now.
And see, that reminds me of when you talk about the beings that can see and they look down, right? Like you imagine somebody in a tower looking down on the people playing the game of the rat race, but they can see dimensions. They can see where the people are headed. They can see all different angles, right? And those are the people, what considered to be the 1%. You understand me? And then of course that can be translated into multi-different, you know, names and forms and species and things of that nature. But the ruling class, if you will, you understand me? The manipulating class, those who practice tricknology and deceit on the rest of the population to not know their power.
Right.
Like the greatest trick of the devil is to get you to not know that you're a God.
That's it.
You understand me? Because the moment that you have self-realization of your power, number one, you stop looking at them to help manage you discover it.
Exactly.
Because if we go to chattel slavery times, and I like to say chattel slavery just because it's such a different form than the rest of the slavery. But chattel slavery is all about breaking that knowledge of self and that knowing of who you are. Because how can you make a slave unless he is completely dependent upon your will?
Exactly.
And the testosterone-filled masculine slaves were the hardest ones to break, the ones that have their own faith and belief systems, because they weren't going to relinquish that power to someone else.
Right.
No, they fought, and there were insurrections all throughout times because that willpower was fighting another will. You understand me? You know, and so now what we got is more so Chris Rock, where you don't fight the will no more. You just let it slap you around. You understand me? I just had to drop another one. I couldn't help myself. But the lack.
Oh man.
I love a joke, y'all. I love a jokes. I love a comedy. But no, for real though, because you know, here we are in present day, and when we talk about chemical castration, man, this is very important. Like, we've went through so many different phases fighting those beings. You understand me? Who bring in drugs, who bring in guns, who bring in propaganda, you know, who bring in MK Ultra,
Yeah.
you understand me, and
Toxins and
poisons
all
from the
this.
air
Yeah.
to every single
Yeah.
thing.
It's not black people doing
No, definitely not. We ain't got that type of control.
No.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's the issue.
Right.
So, like you can take that back to, it's unfortunate that, the greatest minds are producing destructive things. Their greatest minds are producing destructive things.
Yeah.
And now what we are in this phase of reality is figuring out who we are. Because that's still always the biggest key to all of this.
Yeah.
Because the hardest thing is to teach another black man or woman who you are.
Right.
Let me teach you whether you want to call yourself black, original, you understand me, Moor, Hebrew, Israelite, alien, whatever you want to call yourself. You can describe yourself as an Anunnakian.
Yeah.
But understanding at the core, you understand me, that being of godliness that you possess,
right,
and that is unstoppable once you truly recognize who you are.
Yeah.
Not just from literature, not just through paperwork. I'm talking about through spirit, things that can't be taught, that have to be known deep within.
You have to walk in your own power. When I walk places, when I go places, I expect the universe to unfold for me. I expect things to open up for me and things to just happen for me when I walk into places. I can just be going to the grocery store. I'm walking in power. People, if they can jump inside of my body and feel what I'm feeling, they'd be like, God dang, this guy really, you know what I'm saying? I'm walking, everywhere I go, I'm walking in pure power. I act like I'm commanding and wielding the universe to my will. And that's something that scares us. But the reason why is because we've been programmed to think if you do that, that's of the devil and that's evil. And you gotta beg somebody else to give you this power. You can't just walk in this kind of power. But the same power that created everything we see in this entire universe, in this multiverse, is the same power that's inside of my body.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
I want to talk about something, because when we talk about power, culture is probably, our culture specifically, which is getting into our spirit, powers this world. We are the battery.
Yeah.
Melanin is a battery itself.
Yeah.
Right? And when we talk about that, I was studying, years ago, the Carter scale.
Okay.
Right? When we're talking about type 0 to 1, 3, 4 civilizations. And when I was studying back then, I would relate everything I learned in physics and science to black culture, and how it could be an analogy to where we can utilize to liberate ourselves. So for those who don't know, the Carter scale is a model of, how civilizations can grow, if you will, right? Into more efficient system and models, or more control, right? So we are currently, well, I believe, like 0.5, but type 0 civilization.
Type 0.
Right, type 0.
Type 0. We crawling though, we trying to crawl.
We try, the concepts are getting out there.
Yeah, it is.
But the politics are in the way, to be honest.
That's what happened, the polytricksters.
Yeah, the polytricksters. So type 0 is saying that we get our energy from dead coal and plants.
Yeah.
You understand me? That, our energy systems, number one, are inefficient. You understand me? And that's why we steady have these energy wars. You understand me? That we are dependent upon these resources, that we don't have the ability to reproduce ourselves. You understand me? And or have control over supply. And so, that's why human beings are always at risk for extinction. Ideally, is because we don't control external things outside. You understand me? We can't control a meteor hitting this planet. We can't control the sun exploding. We can't control any of those things. So that's why man now just wants to jump to another planet. You understand me? Because he don't believe that he will be able to gain control before it's too late, right?
Exactly.
But a type 1 is more so talking about the ability to control weather, control earth, control the sun, or at least in a sense being able to absorb all energy from the sun and utilize that to power the world that is today. And then you have the analogy of type 1 type systems, right? Type 1 language would be what would be considered like English. English, they're a language that's going extinct every day.
Yeah.
You understand me? And English is rapidly fast growing all across the planet Earth to become a type 1 language where everybody on the planet speaks English.
Yeah.
So that is a method, you understand me, of energy transfer, communication, and translation that all beings on this planet Earth will be in understanding.
Yeah.
Then when we're talking about systems like music, hip hop is I consider hip hop basically a type 1 system when you're talking about music.
Yeah.
Because hip hop produced beings, number one, and tones and frequencies and rhythms that are known all across the planet Earth.
Yeah, it's mathematical.
Right. And then you have other beings, the Beyoncés of the world, the Kanyes of the world, who are known by people all throughout the entire planet Earth.
Yeah.
You understand me? From a one world system,
Yeah.
these are very identifiable symbols, right? Because they're not, you don't know the person.
Yeah.
So the person is, the brand is a symbol, which is a representation of a energy.
Yeah.
You understand me? That has a translation that creates feeling, right? From each person that knows it in their perspective and their connection to it. But after I say all of that, I say all that to say, hip hop culture is the most powerful energy that exists on this planet Earth. You understand me? Because it can move reality in ways that we don't even understand yet. Because it's a one world communication system to all melanated people across the planet Earth. That we can literally put everybody on the same vibration and frequency, you understand me? By exporting culture throughout the diaspora.
Yeah.
And if we understood how powerful that concept was, we have the ability to leap past and make quantum leaps over everybody with this system that we've created called hip hop. And this is why we have so many culture vultures, because culture vultures understand this expressway throughout the world.
Oh, yeah.
If I connect to a rapper, I'm a white guy, and if I'm a smart white guy, I need to, and if I can afford it, I need to get close to the rappers.
Yeah.
The rappers don't realize they have more leverage than I do.
They're the big influence of the world.
Biggest.
World.
I've never seen a rapper understood their value so much when they stand next to a white guy and give them their presence.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is you're giving them an culture, and you're giving them an audience where you're spreading their message and connecting them to hip hop.
Right.
And it's wildly known that there are a lot of culture vultures. We just don't speak on it.
Yeah.
You understand me? Because people are, you know, favored for this, favored for that. But once you really understand it, there was I'm not gonna name a name at this point. Famous, he might be a billionaire, maybe a couple $100 million or whatever. But I was speaking in the same arena he was speaking in. He was speaking right after me.
Yeah.
You know, and he kept trying to rub shoulders. I'm giving him the cold shoulder.
Yeah.
I don't want no pictures, no nothing.
Right.
Because what I realized that he would get more value if I took a picture with him than he would get from me.
Right.
Because now he's connected to top thought leader in the culture. He seems down. You understand me? He seems connected.
Yeah.
History would look at that picture and say we had a relationship.
Yeah.
You understand me? How could he be other than, you know, in the way we trying to depict his morality if he was connected to 19 keys at that time?
Yep.
So why wouldn't I utilize that as leverage? Why would I just allow somebody to absorb my value, connect to my culture, but we don't think about time? We don't think about our true power at all.
Energy vampires.
Because, energy vampires.
Yeah.
And we utilize our dead leaders as our coal and our energy. You understand me?
Yeah.
So we're not operating in the present system controlling our weather, controlling our culture, controlling our time, controlling our language, our mind, our music.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about taking, you know, melanated people from a type 0 civilization to a type 1 civilization. And then, you know, type 2 and 3, those civilizations, you talking about controlling planets.
Oh, yeah.
All kind of stuff. We don't even need to go there yet. We're far off. But it's an interesting model and it's an interesting idea when you're talking about measuring progress of a people that have been trapped under another people's thumb.
Yeah.
You understand me? And working to increase the aggregate efficiency of our output.
Yeah.
What we put out based on the energy that we get back.
Yeah.
And how do we increase that as a people,
Right.
you know, for a revolution.
Yeah.
Right? I want to talk to you about something else because I heard you talking about AI. Now, I look at, we know we are in a time of declining population.
Yeah.
Right? Specifically in America anyway. You understand me? When Elon Musk said that, you know, we need population growth, and Bill Gates say we need population decline.
Yeah.
But what I realized, they were talking about two different places. Elon Musk was talking about America, Bill Gates was talking about Africa.
Yep.
So Bill Gates was saying that they're gonna have another 2 billion people by 2050. We need population decline over there. Yeah. Elon Musk say, well, listen, we already have fewer births than we do deaths. You understand me? So therefore, we on a decline.
Yeah.
We need more birth, right? So he trying to get out of here.
Yeah, he's trying to go. He's trying to get out.
He said, I'm out, man.
One
The party too crowded. You feel me? He grew up in South Africa, so he know what it's like where it's 7% of them over there.
You know.
So it's interesting because I look at those who are in power, of course, power wants to maintain power.
Yeah.
Right? So it only makes sense that the people that are in power wants to continue to cede power, and they don't want to concede power to anybody else. So when you're talking about playing God, that's what they want to do. If you can't have the population size, we have to figure out another way to maintain control.
Yep.
And AI to me is one of those ways to be able to maintain control. You won't have the brain trust anywhere because people outside are no longer just coming in and saying, well, we'll give our brain to America, spark invention and innovation.
Yeah.
There's decreasing innovation and invention in this country.
Yep.
So not only you got AI in the form of artificial intelligence, and I'm 19 keys, so I break things down into 1-9. But A is numerical 1 and I is numerical 9. And that 19 is representation of male, female, conscious, subconscious, you understand me? God itself, because everything is between that 1 through 9, collapse back into a 1. When we talk about artificial intelligence, it's more so not even just AI of artificial intelligence, artificial insemination, artificial ingredients as well, right? And these are all the ways that I see that those who are in power are working to maintain power, utilizing AI. Can you speak upon the future of AI and where we headed?
Yeah, definitely. The AI is it's dangerous. If you look into the ancient Sumerian tablets, you'll discover in the Epic of Gilgamesh, who was considered to be half human, half god. They call him a demigod. His father was Enki, and he had a human mother, according to the tablets. And they wanted to send Enlil, who his uncle, sent him on a journey, a hero's journey. This is the original story of Noah's Ark, by the way. This is where the Bible got it from.
So Sumerian, for those who don't know, the Anunnaki, first civilization?
First civilization, the cradle of civilization, they call it the cradle of civilization, coming out of Mesopotamia.
What did they invent?
Roads, city grid streets, bicameral Congress, plumbing systems. I mean, you name it, everything you could think of, schooling and chemistry and mathematics, and they even had a metric system back then. Talking about, hundreds of thousands of years ago, they had a metric system. And so they literally, the whole modern society we have today came out of Sumer. There's a tablet where Enlil is speaking, and he's showing his sister this crystal tablet, by the way, is what it's called. And he's showing her his plans for all time on this planet. He said, these plans I have here, these plans are gonna last for all time. And that's where we're still in it today. We still got the same polytrickster program he put in back then. They had their own numerical kingship, the way they ran their selves, but they gave humans the political system.
That's a very
and they also installed
idea.
Inflation at that same exact time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a very, 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 very interesting idea. So in that system, right, I know that children who are born, and at the same time you're born in any time, you succumb to a dominant paradigm. The dominant frequency wins, right? And so do you believe that based on, the Anunnaki or Enlil having this crystal tablet, you understand me, where he wrote down his plans for time dominance, you understand me, so that he can conquer ages of time, do you think that it's possible to go against that plan, you understand me, and create our own will for the planet?
Yeah, it can. The program that he put in was so good. We're born, we're given a name, a race, and a religion, and we're basically, we grow up defending that whole identity. It's a fake identity. It's not really us. We've kind of forgotten and relinquished who we really are and given it up to this system, this institutionalized system that was put in place thousands of years ago. But if we really come together, that's the biggest part we got to do. We got to come together and stop all this divide and conquer. You're this religion, I'm this thing, or you're this light skin and I'm this dark skin. All this stuff we got to, black men want to fight black men all the time. We want to attack each other socially now on social media because you doing too good and I'm not doing as good as you. We got to drop all of that. We got to stop all of that. We got to synchronize. We got to realize that we're better together than apart. Not tearing each other down, fighting each other, slapping each other, all this kind of crazy stuff. We got to come together and we got to realize, man, how can I bring a piece of the puzzle? How can you bring a piece of the puzzle? You know what I'm saying? Just sitting here talking to you, you got pieces of the puzzle that I don't have, and I got pieces of the puzzle that you don't have. We can start building a whole doggone puzzle. We can put a puzzle together. And you add more people, next thing you know, that picture, that painting is amazing. We can make a mosaic. And so until we get to that point though, we're always gonna be bickering and fighting and arguing over resources, and pocket watching and hating and worrying about this, worrying about that, because that's the program they instilled into us. We got to now override this DNA and this RNA programming code. We got to say, you know what? We got to talk to ourselves. You know what? I'm being a hater right now. I'm being a troll right now. I'm pocket watching right now. I'm being jealous right now. Why am I doing that? And analyze inside of ourselves, why am I doing this? Why do I feel like this? And work on our internal self and learn how to not be that way. Learn how to give somebody the benefit of the doubt. Learn how to try to work with somebody. Learn how to ask better questions so you can understand better instead of getting angry. And learn how to control your emotional state. And when we can do that and we can link up and we can make big power moves together, that's when the world's gonna change.